big question is, what does the pandemic teach? Okay, welcome. I am here with Claudia Rankine. Claudia is a noted poet and now playwright. She teaches in the English and African American Studies programs at Yale, and is the author of several volumes, including Nothing in Nature is Private, Don't Let Me Be Lonely, An American Lyric, The End of the Alphabet, Plot, Citizen, An American Lyric, and The White Card, a play. Welcome, Claudia, and thank you for joining us.
And Just Us. Just Us is about to hit the shelves.
Oh, great. Okay. Congratulations. That's great. Who published that?
Graywolf, my people.
It's beautiful. So, this is quite a moment we're living in. It goes without saying. I would love to hear you between the onset of the pandemic in February and March, and then the surge in the Black Lives Matter movement in the wake of the George Floyd murder, I would just love to hear you narrate your own experience of this extraordinary time that we've been living through these last 5 or 6 months.
If we think about the last 5 or 6 months, there is no way anyone could have anticipated the virus and its impact exactly, though we know that the Obama administration had a commission because they apparently had anticipated some version of it. So that part of it, I think we all understand that it's not the virus that's the problem, but the way in which it's been managed. That we've had an administration that in no way intends to, because I think this is going forward in the future, intends to prepare or protect the American public in terms of the domino effect of this kind of global pandemic. And that's been the most tragic part of it. That the police violence has continued during the pandemic is not surprising. We've had versions of George Floyd's murder for as long as I have been living. I didn't see that as so unusual. I think the unusual part of it was the blatant disregard of Chauvin, the police officer, and that it was filmed and that we were all at home and we all had to sit with it for all of those minutes. I think that was unusual. The grassroots response to what happened, that I think actually was not accidental or incidental, or I think that Black Lives Matter started in 2014, I believe, and grassroots organizations have been organizing between then and now. So I think people didn't understand how groups like Showing Up for Racial Justice, Say Her Name, Kimberly Crenshaw's group, and then the various segments of Black Lives Matter across the country were actually working this whole time. And so they just had to activate the things that they had been doing. So I wasn't surprised by the fact that people were out. I was surprised by who was out. I didn't realize how integrated those grassroots movements had become. And certainly the latest iteration in Portland with the mothers, to see white women finally understand the amount of power that they actually have by the Women's March in Washington at the beginning of this administration. So I think there were lots of movements that prepared us for this reaction. The threads, we could even go as far back as Arab Spring, so that these global protests were beginning without a central leader. That's also important, I think. I think that nobody's waiting for the one guy or the one woman to come out and say, we're marching now. People are making decisions within their own cities, within their own communities, within their own organizations.